Hey y'all, I am Michelle Mazelleغ. Welcome back to my channel. The topic in today's video is the concept of going home to African Americans, African diasporans. What does that look like? Why is it that there are some African diasporans and some African Americans who don't feel the going home feeling that they're expecting to feel when they go to these countries of Africa? We're going to talk all about the going home concept. What does it look like? What does it feel like? Is it really a thing? Is it just some imaginary feeling that African diasporans and African Americans are wanting to feel? I mean, we're going to talk about it all in this day's video. So let's get into it.
Some of you know that I am planning a tour throughout the continent of Africa to promote my business Connect, which is a travel app exclusively for the continent of Africa. And the purpose is basically so Black people can get to Africa easier. Why am I having such a hard time with all these visas and everything is so complicated? I want to go to Nigeria. I am Nigerian according to my DNA. I've been to Nigeria twice, but I can't go to Nigeria this time probably because the process to get your biometric data done on top of your application, it'd be costing like $300-400. It's just ridiculous and it takes too long. And I'm leaving in less than a month. So I do not have time for that. Now I'm trying to get a visa for Ghana, but before you had to have return postage when you sent in your passport to the Washington, D.C. office. Even though I paid for tracking and return postage, one of those companies, FedEx, lost my passport. I was in Louisiana. I had to drive from Louisiana to Houston. They canceled my passport before they could even tell me if they could guarantee me a passport that day. And I was flying out to Ghana like the next week. Now, Ghana is saying that they no longer accept the return postage, right? Now you just got to pay for it. And it's $30. I'm about to spend like $2,000 in visa fees. I am Black, okay? I shouldn't be going through all of this to visit Africa. That's all I have to say.
All right, so her video basically is talking about one of the initiatives or amenities that African Americans, some African Americans and some African diasporans feel like should be a given when going home to these countries of Africa. They just don't feel like that they should have to be jumping through all of this red tape, going through all of these different things in order for them to go home, as they have been encouraged to do since the year of return of 2019. So let us talk about it and get on into it. First of all, let's talk about this particular video. This isn't the first time that I've heard that there are some African Americans that feel like they do not need to go through the whole visa application process in order to visit any type of country of Africa. They feel like that since they are African American, since they have African lineage, that it should just be a waiver for them and they should not have to do any of that in order to visit any country of Africa. I totally relate to her experience with the visa application. My husband and I had a similar experience to this last year, trying to get a visa for him and my son. It was a grueling, long process, a back and forth process. So I definitely can relate to her experience. However, her saying that there should not be a visa required is definitely a little trickier than she's kind of making it out to be. If you do not want to have to go through the visa process and you don't want to have to, have a visa, or don't think that you should have a visa to go visit these countries of Africa, then what you're going to have to do is denounce and forego your American passport and your American citizenship and become a citizen of one of these countries of Africa, of Ghana or Nigeria. She said she was, her lineage was a Nigerian, in order for you not to have to worry about going through the visa process, because the USA is not on the waiver list when it comes to Ghana. So you will have to always have a visa in order to enter Ghana, just like Ghana will have to have a visa of some sort to enter the United States. And there is an option that you can go to Ghana without a visa and get your visa upon your arrival in Ghana. Of course, you're going to have to pay out of pocket but that definitely is a different alternative. The whole not visa process, or not having to have a visa for African Americans, is something that's going to be, it's definitely not something that is even, I don't even know if it's feasible. I don't even know if it's able to be done, because having a visa, or a country requiring a visa also goes into what country you are from. That is going to determine whether you're going to have a visa for that particular country or not. So it's country based, not people based. So when you're talking about African Americans not having to have a visa to visit these countries of Africa, that is a process. You're going to have to find out if there is lineage to these countries. You're going to have them do a DNA testing, because there are some African Americans that don't even want to have any connection to the African continent. They don't want to have to visit. They don't want to visit. And so that's another, to me, problem to have to solve. It's just a lot to really try to make it people based. How's that going to work? How are these countries of Africa just going to say, if you're African American, you don't have to worry about a visa, especially for African Americans that don't claim any type of African ancestry? There just seems to be a lot of obstacles that would have to be gone through, a structured process, an organized process, a feeding out process to see who fits in that criteria and who does not, in order to decide whether or not you qualify as someone who is going to be exempt from the visa application process. Now, what she's talking about as far as feeling like African Americans do not need to worry about visas in order to travel to a country of Africa is also going into how some African Americans feel like that they should have all of these amenities when they get to these countries of Africa, because they have been encouraged to go home, to encourage to come home to these countries of Africa, and they feel like there should be something waiting for them when they get there, and they're not receiving all these free benefits, these amenities they feel like that they are deserving, because they are choosing to live in these African countries or choosing to move there, and they do feel like they're being slighted. So let's talk more about what some African Americans or some African diasporans feel like is deserving of them when they decide to travel to an African country or move to an African country. So there is a video on Kinganda's channel, and I believe it is African Americans are leaving Africa because of this. Now, I did not watch Kinganda's video. I did watch the Ashley in Africa video, where she was talking about reasons why African Americans are leaving the continent of Africa. But I did scroll through the comment section because I wanted to see what the conversations were going on in the comment section. And there's one that popped up that definitely is going into what some African Americans feel like should be a part of that going home process. And this is what this comment said, this commenter had to say on the Kinganda video. The commenter said that there are zero incentives for returning, meaning housing, education, work visa, food, medical benefits, as they receive when fleeing to America. I've never heard Americans say they're leaving Africa because they made it rain and went broke. So the amenities that they feel that they should have is that they should have free housing, they should have free education, they should have a free meal plan. And it's just like, okay. There are some African Americans who are still looking at these countries of Africa through an American lens, because America is definitely a country that is definitely very heavily based in immigration, very heavily based in with immigrants. And so they are constantly welcoming immigrants in. Since that is the case, they are creating programs that is going to help the immigrants as they are coming in. But not only are the immigrants able to participate in these programs, but you also have these programs that Americans are able to participate as well. An American is able to apply for welfare. They are able to apply for housing, Section 8. If their child is in school, in elementary school or middle school, whatever, they are able to apply for reduced and free lunches. These are just some programs in the United States that help people who need an extra oomph. And so those programs are already in place. When you're talking about these countries of Africa, however, there's not like an influx, even though there is an increase. There's not so many African Americans and African diasporans moving there or traveling there that they are getting, that these programs are needed. And what African Americans need to understand, or some of the African Americans that are making this complaint about going home and not getting these amenities that they're seeking, is that these amenities should not just be African diasporan based or African American based. A lot of times when you hear them talking, it's very exclusive. They don't want to include the locals in any of this type of programs whatsoever. They literally want a program just for them. They want to be able to have whatever housing they want, medical benefits that they want. They want to be able to have this type of free education, whatever that is. They want these amenities for just themselves. They don't want the locals to have to be included in that, which I find pretty interesting, considering that in the Black communities in the United States of America, one of the problems that's going on right now is them feeling like the immigrants are getting more resources than the Black people in the Black community. However, you will have some African Americans who feel like that they should be going to these countries of Africa, getting all of these amenities, while the local people don't even have these amenities. And so you are really looking at this as a through the American lens, instead of realizing you are in a whole different country. You are not going to get those benefits that you might have been used to in the United States of America. You really have to learn how to make it on your own. Now, the whole going home concept definitely does not mean that you're going to get anything extra when you get there, that you're going to be able to get more than the local people. Basically, what it's saying is that if you are not satisfied with the home that you are currently in, you have an alternative. You're able to have a second home to come to, where you can invest, where you can build, where you can create the home that you want to create. But the key thing is that you have to create it. They're not going to be providing you with any extra things. They're not going to be providing you with any amenities to get started. If you're wanting to move there, you're moving there with the assumption that you are ready to move there with the resources that you need in order to survive, in order to sustain yourself. And there are some African Americans and some African diasporans who are literally moving there with hardly anything. And then when they get there, they are upset because the government of these African countries are not giving them any type of assistance. And it's just like, well, there are local people there who also need assistance. And there are government assistance a lot of times in these countries of Africa for certain for some of their citizens, but it is only meant for the citizens, not meant for people who are not citizens of that particular country. When you're going to these countries of Africa, you have to be prepared for when you go there. The going home concept doesn't mean that you're going to get anything extra. It doesn't mean that you're going to get any type of extra benefit. It doesn't mean that you're going to get any extra amenities. It means that you have a second home to go to if you need one. You are able to create a space for yourself into these countries of Africa, and you have to make it the way you want to make it. You cannot expect to go to these countries of Africa getting these benefits that the local people are not even getting, because these countries of Africa are not the same type of country as the United States. The country of the United States is built on immigrants. They're built on receiving people into their country, and that's the reason why they do everything they can to house those people and to help those people, because that's the type of country that they're deciding to be. These countries of Africa are not like that, and you can expect for them to treat you the same way as the United States is treating the people that's coming to them, because it's a whole different country, it's a whole different government, it's a whole different mindset, and you have to be ready for that. All right, you all, that's all I have to say on this matter. I am Mazelleغ. Thank you all for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe, and I will see you on the next video. Bye.